Well, this is a first for Cleckheaton Cricket Club, and hopefully over the next few months and beyond, with a bit of luck, we'll be inviting various people to give their thoughts and opinions on the subject of cricket. Now, the first guest this evening is a man who's put his neck on the chopping block, and it's David Young, who's the Chief Executive of the Bradford League. David's well known, he's been with Eschalt Cricket Club for many years, and just over a year in charge of the Bradford League. Not an easy time, but first and foremost, thank you very much indeed, David, for joining us. And I think we'll start initially by just finding out what your first year in your position, just how things went.
I think I had a full head of hair when I started. I took over a year ago from Bob, who's done a great job for many years. Wasn't the easiest of first years due to the fact that probably had the worst weather we've ever had in the cricket season. I think that the members of the management board did their very best to get as much cricket played as possible. We probably played more cricket in the Bradford League than most of the other leagues. We did our best to rearrange fixtures. So yeah, it was a tough year. Hard to get the cup played, but we managed to get the Bristol Cup and Shield played without tossing coins up or resorting to silly run race. So I think yes, it was a tough year, but I think we got through it.
Well, you to make some tough decisions very early on. I mean, did you get a lot of negative feedback, or was it positive? Or?
No, the feedback to give from the clubs has been positive. The members of the board had the clubs in mind all the time. We know how difficult it is to raise cash, so if we start cancelling games because of weather, you don't raise any money, and we need to keep all the clubs in the league going. So no, there's not many negative thoughts about it. I think most people thought we did the right thing, and I'm glad that that's how people feel about it.
I think sometimes, and we're all guilty of this, we forget that not only are you the chief executive of the league, but you've also got a full-time job. So really, your phone must be going continuously and plenty of emails. It's not easy, is it?
It's not easy. I think most people bear with us. They realise that we do work as well. Some of us are still at work. Some of the management board are retired and give up their time when I can't. But I try my best to get back to them on email as fast as I can. Email is the easiest way to get hold of me, to be honest, because I can sit in my hotel room where I am in the country and answer those at any time. So yeah, it's not always easy, but we do our best.
Something that's probably a personal question, and it's regarding prize money. And I know you've probably been asked this question before, but the prize money obviously for winning the league title and perhaps the Priestley Cup. Is there any mileage in that, David? And bear in mind, I'm not talking about giving money to pay for players, and that's a subject we'll come on to in a while, but for the benefit of the facilities, etc. What's your thoughts on that?
It's happened in the past. The Southern Healthcare Priestley Cup used to command prize money, so I don't think it's beyond the realms that that'll come back. The reason it stopped was because we thought it right to invest the money in other ways. For example, we wanted to bring in the electronic scoring project, so that on our website you can get all the scores ball by ball almost on a Saturday, and we used the money that used to go on prize money to divide between all the clubs to buy the laptops for that. Now when that's paid off, there's nothing to say we won't go back to some prize money. Equally, the league sponsorship has been used not particularly to run the league, but to give back things to clubs. So for example, we provide membership of the Yorkshire Cricket Ball Groundsmen's Association to all clubs so that they can use equipment free of charge. We provide pitch reports to all clubs and then give advice on how they can improve their facilities, particularly squares and grounds. So that's how we've used some of that sponsorship money. So we do use it in a way of, as you say, to try and improve facilities.
Yeah.
Now, but not particularly prize money. But I would never say never. I don't think it's a wrong thing to do. So I'm sure that when we get past the current expenditure levels in order to finish off this registrations project and scoring project, then when we look at that.
Has the subject been muted then? Has it been spoken about?
It's never been, honestly, never been mentioned to me.
No.
There was no negative feedback when we said we were going to withdraw it from the Cup and Shield in order to do that from clubs. So it's not something people back my door down to ask, but never say never.
So what would I say we, the glorious we, what would we have to do to try and instigate such an idea? Would it be something that came from the clubs? Or?
Yeah, I think it comes from the clubs if you want.
Yeah.
In the end, the management board of the Bradford League is here to serve the clubs, so if the clubs want something discussed, we'll discuss it.
Yeah. The other, the next question is regarding the annual dinner, which in recent years has been held at the Cedar Court. I know in the past, and you know yourself, you know, in years gone by, it was supported by 300, 400, 500 people. The numbers have dwindled. The Cedar Court, not picking on them, because regardless of whatever the hotel, the drinks are expensive. No doubt the costs for the Bradford League are quite heavy. Is there any mileage in considering taking it away from such as the Cedar Court and holding it, for example, at Clackheaton?
I think yes is a short answer. We did explore that last year at one time. You say numbers are dwindling, they did dwindle, and they're actually having an increase again.
That's good.
Which is good. We had nearly 250 last year.
Yeah.
So we need somewhere that can hold 250. We considered actually going to Bradford and Bingley at one stage, you know, when they had that marquee outside where they were doing, but then they said that marquee was coming down. So again, something we would consider. If we can put money back into clubs, that's got to be good. But equally, we want all the clubs to enjoy it. So you know, if you were hosting it, you might not enjoy the dinner, but again, I'm happy to look at that.
But it's not an easy task, is it? And I know that Clackheaton Cricket Club have had a problem in the past. Let's say problem. You always want people to enjoy the evening, and speakers is at a board of contention.
Yep.
They're not cheap for one thing, and you don't always get full value for money.
We've had a wide variety. Last year we had Alex Stewart, who was fantastic.
Yeah.
So the year before we had Derek Randall, who wasn't great. And actually, with Derek Randall's reputation, you thought he would have been good, and he wasn't. So yes, you're right, it's hard to get them. This year it's going to be Jeremy Coney, New Zealander, who spoke at the Huddersfield League dinner and said was very, very good. So we're trying to get people to speak who people have heard speak, so that we know that we're not doing it.
And that will be at the Cedar Court again.
It is at the Cedar Court again this year. Yeah.
So if you know, Bradford Bingley, Clackheaton or whoever wanted to persuade yourself or the management board to hold the annual dinner at their club, what is that again something that would have to be put forward for consideration?
You know, get in touch and say you're interested in doing it, you know. And it's a case of, you know, can you hold 250 people, because that's about what they were expected to be, and provide the meal, etc. And I'm sure yourselves and Bradford and Bingley, the two I think of, but if anybody puts a marquee on the ground, they can probably do it, but you've got to be able to do it right. So,
an ongoing subject is players being paid, and certainly we as a club are very aware that it's very difficult when you go for a particular individual. We certainly won't mention anyone, that they're very keen to join you because they like everything about your club, but all of a sudden someone comes in with a double your money offer and they go for the money, right? I mean, what's your take on that, David? And
I'll give you a personal take. Give you a personal take.
Yeah.
If I thought it possible, I'd like to limit it. I'd like to do a salary cap, or how you do it, I think it's the right thing to do. How you police it is another matter. You know, if we could ask for every club's accounts, and that would be the place for their accounts. They have
it's a brand envelope job, couldn't it?
It could be. So, in theory, I think it's the right thing to do. In practice, is it possible to police it? I don't think it is. It used to happen in the Bradford League years ago, where you allowed so many paid players, but the reason it was dropped is because nobody could. So, you know, but the theory is correct, because clubs should be investing in facilities, in junior cricket and grounds, and some players, because you need to have the Bradford League, you know, is a high standard, and it needs to maintain a high standard, but investing solely in players and not in juniors and facilities will be the downfall, and you know, it's too easy, mind.
Our club accepts that you do have to get the quality that we have, you do have to pay players. We understand that, but certainly it can become very frustrating when, and there's a high percentage, that is the first thing that they mention, and it's almost as though the Bradford League, forgive me for saying, is renowned for paying you know.
I think it is. I think other leagues very close to here have actually become more renowned for it of late, but I think that might be changing shortly.
Yeah, good. We talked about facilities at clubs, and again, it's not prudent to name names. It's totally unfair, but it's a fact. In our view, you go to certain clubs, and the facilities, or even the wickets, are not of the standard that you expect of the Bradford League. Is that a fair comment or an unfair comment?
It's a fair comment. I think the vast majority of clubs in the Bradford League have put huge amounts in and have improved their facilities massively. I know of one club not far from here again who consistently at the bottom of the marks for the pitches. Have put a lot of time and effort into that and really have done. And we'd like everybody to do that. We have had, I'm not going to name names, we've had clubs in front of the board and asked for, and given them targets of what they have to do to improve their facilities. Otherwise we'll have to review where they are in the league. So we take that seriously, and we need to improve that. A lot of clubs have acted on that, some haven't, and we'll continue to put pressure on that.
So is it very closely monitored?
Yes, every club's pitch is marked every week by captains and umpires. If it falls below a certain mark, Governor Hayhill will go and visit and look at the pitch immediately in that week. So yes, it is closely monitored. There's also facilities marking on that sheet, so if we get 2 or 3 regular complaints about a certain thing at a club, someone will go and look at it.
So if the club continued to be substandard, would we consider throwing them out of the league?
It wouldn't be for the league to throw, for management board to throw them out, but what we could do is put them in front of the clubs as to whether they should remain as members of the board.
Okay. Umpiring is always a thorny issue, and admittedly, whether you're an umpire in cricket or a football referee, whatever, it's never an easy job. And I do, well, we all have sympathy with umpires. Is there a possibility that there could be, as there is in football, a fourth official or almost an assessor, or not someone to particularly pick fault, but someone who could be on the boundary edge to actually assist it? You know, because sometimes somebody on the sidelines can see things away from the heat of the moment that others can't see, and they could be there for a referral.
I think that would be difficult in league cricket to have referrals. It's hard enough for first class cricket to do it. A couple of reasons. Number one, we struggle to get 2 umpires to umpire every game, so we need a large influx of people. The piece about assessing is really relevant because that's something that we are helping the Umpires Association with at the moment, and that they're sending a number of their senior people on assessing courses so that they can assess either from the other end or from the sideline to try and improve the standard of umpiring. So, as I said to you earlier, we've invested a lot of money in grounds and in scoring facilities. This year we're going to put quite a bit of money into umpiring. We're helping the Umpires Association with training courses, we're adding some good coats for them. So we recognise that that's one thing that we really need to move the dial on, and we need to try harder. Now, is it easy? No, it isn't. I watch cricket all over Yorkshire, and I appreciate that by no means perfect the Bradford League umpiring, but better than quite a lot. But we've still got a way to go, and that's not to criticise the Umpiring Association because they work really hard. We just need to try and give them some resource to try and improve that.
The frustration is, and this shouldn't happen, and it happened twice to us last season, I think, I can recall, a basic lack of knowledge of the actual rules. And when one particular player asked why on earth this certain decision had been made, he was given the incorrect answer, and that's quite worrying, isn't it?
It is. We've introduced a system along in conjunction with the Umpires Association where, in order to umpire first team cricket, they have to receive get a certain qualification. So those that do not have an ECB level 1 qualification will not be allowed to umpire first team cricket. So we're doing our best to improve that, but we also accept that umpires have to practice to get better, just like play.
Yeah, and I know there is a shortage, so you can't be too fussy because to actually acquire umpires is a difficult task. But it would be nice to have you know, more of the choice, and perhaps just look at the character of the person as well as, you know.
I think that's important, and the other thing that we are trying to do, and the Umpires Association again being supported on this, is that we're going to use the marks that they get from the captains. So the umpires that get the highest marks are umpiring the most important games. Now that won't always be number 1 versus number 2 in the first division, but it might be number 1 versus 2 in the second division, or a promotion match, or a really vital game. So we need to get the best umpires umpiring.
Well, that's a really good point, and I'm going to name a name here, for example, and Tony Hamer, who I believe is one of the best, if not the best umpire in the Bradford League, is quite relaxed, and he will say to himself, "Oh, just give me what games you want." But every time I listen to the lads, they all say, "Why on earth, on a really vital game, say it was top of the table clash, Woodlands versus us or Kongs or whoever, that your 2 best umpires should actually be umpiring that game." What is there anything we can do to?
That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, so that will happen.
That's what will happen. We've got a new umpires appointment secretary.
Yeah.
We've got a new computerised appointment system that will help him do that, and that is what our aim to do is.
Yeah.
I have to say that the appointment of umpires doesn't rest with the league; it rests with the Umpires Association. But in the end, you know, the league board are working as close as we can to get that.
I did hear what you said. I just thought I was.
No, I agree with
sure
you.
that,
Absolutely agree.
it's something that everyone feels quite strongly about.
Well,
But
right.
that's good. There's quite a few old stages, myself included, that were on the sidelines within the Bradford League. You know, people, I'm talking about off the field now, a lot of good people who have done a lot of work, but there is a concern that who's going to take over from Mr. Mosses of this world, and many other people. I mean, do you see that as being a problem?
If he's not watching this, if you tell me it's past. Yes, I do. I don't see lots of young secretaries or lots of young treasurers or big committee. When we have the annual general meeting, it's not full of under 20-year-olds. So yeah, I do see a problem with it. We can only encourage people to do that, to you know, to work off the field as well. And there are some great people, and I'm going to name a name now. If you take David Nebbard at Norway, youngish guy, puts a huge amount of work on and off the field. And really more like that, they've got the interest of cricket and not just their own interest.
Is there anything the league can do to help or to encourage that kind of young person?
I'm not sure it is, to be honest. It's society, I think, you know, it's hard to get young people to do that. There are, I'm sure, you know, I'm not trying to do disservice, I'm sure there are some people out there, but I was secretary at Ashwell when I was 18. I don't know how many more there are, but let's hope there are some.
The Bradford League, quite rightly, can boast of being a good feeder league for many years. Do you think there's enough young talent coming through at the moment?
I think some great talent coming through. I think we need to continue to, as you mentioned earlier, improve our facilities and pitches. That will encourage Yorkshire to want people to play in the Bradford League. There's a bit of a misnomer that they think they're better playing in the Yorkshire League. I disagree. There might be some.
Is that to do with the wickets and facilities?
I think it's to do with the size of the ground and the pitches. My view is that the standard is, the overall standard is not as good. There will be the odd good team in the Yorkshire League, and their top 3 or 4 will probably compete with the top 3 or 4, but the strength in depth is not. And there's no competitors. If you go and watch a Yorkshire League game, there's no spectators.
No.
There's no cut and thrust like you see in the Bradford League. I think they'll learn more in the Bradford League personally.
Yeah, it is more in your face cricket, isn't it, if that's the right term.
It's proper Northern League cricket.
It is, yeah, and you're mindful of that to keep it.
We are mindful of that, and we're also, I'll tell you that we are investigating the possibility of becoming an ECB Premier League. The North Yorkshire South Durham League has now been accepted as a Premier League, as well as the Yorkshire League. So we are in the early stages of looking
That's a
into
very interesting statement. So can you sort of...
Well, I can't elaborate a lot because we only discussed it at the January meeting when we found out that they had accepted another Premier League in Yorkshire. Now, until I know what the ins and outs of it for all the clubs are, we're not going to commit to it, but we are investigating the possibility that we could be the Bradford Premier League.
And do you honestly think it's a realistic possibility in the short term or long term?
I think in the medium, next 2 or 3 years, it's a possibility.
Right.
But it all depends what the ECB's requirements are. If they say, well, the minimum boundary size has to be this, we ain't going to go in it because we're not great clubs, East Pilot for example, yourself with the short boundary at one end to say, right, you can't be in because that's not what we want to do. So we're just, without knowing the full rules, it'd be wrong for me to comment, but if we can do it and it elevates the status to Premier League, that can only go for the clubs.
Well, it's very interesting.
And it makes it easy for overseas players.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to put on the spot this because obviously you can't say too much, but how would you see it working? Have you thoughts on that?
No, because I haven't looked into it enough yet, but all I can say is that I've given an undertaking to the board that over the next 2 months I'll get in touch with the ECB and go through the requirements and see what we can do.
That's I look forward to hearing more about that. Well, Clec as a club, as you know, I believe we instigated public closing, which at the time didn't go down too well. As I recall, I think we. No, but it didn't. Talking in general, we did the Floodlit 2020 initially. We've got a dream team thanks to Chris Dobson, who's done a great job with that, and I believe that we as a club have been quite innovative, and I would have thought that you, certainly as an individual, you'll support that kind of thing. But do you think the league are set up to go with the times, so to speak, and or are there any other new ideas to be introduced?
No, I think we need to balance tradition with moving with the times.
Yeah.
Tradition's important. That's across all cricket. We're not averse to cold clothing. We did play an Alpha Cup a couple of years ago to the trial cold clothing, as you might remember, Priestley Cup and Shield. We had a couple of Priestley Cup finals with cold clothing. I think that's something we ought to look at again. We introduced a 2020 competition, which, to be honest, is on the back of Eaton's week. We came to some fantastic evenings here that you've done with Floodlit 2020, then Bingley on the back of that put the lights in, and we've got a 2020 competition going. I'd like to see that expand to all clubs, but it's hard to enforce things, but I think we should try and get that. We need to continue to look at how the Priestley Cup should evolve. We're talking, we've brought in fielding circles, which a lot of leagues haven't done. We've brought in 10 overs a bowler. We're looking to bring in Duckworth Lewis as of when we can find a way to do it properly, because it's bloody complicated. But I think we should bring it in because that's a fair way of deciding matches rather than putting coins up or fixed run rates. So we have moved a lot of things. I still think there's a little bit further we can go, but I'm keen to balance that with some tradition. So definitely players which settle in white clothing. So I think everything's up for negotiation, but we should not stand still. If we stand still, we're going backwards.
So, how do you appraise your first year or so in the current position? Are you satisfied with the way things have gone?
I think I would be more satisfied if we had a red hot summer and more clubs were earning more cash. But I am satisfied with the first year. We did some small things that meant a lot, like refunding subscriptions. Yes, the league has got quite a bit of money in the bank. Now, I'm not saying that we should give all that money back, because I don't know if you're aware, for example, Eden Cricket Club bought their ground last year, and they had a VAT bill of £12,000 to pay on that ground, but league lent them £12,000 for a period of 3 months, 0 interest, so that they could repay. When they got the VAT repaid, they could pay it back. Now, if we had no money in the bank, we couldn't help clubs like that, and they might not bought the ground. So I think we should keep the money in the bank, but we should use it in short-term loans.
You view that as a safety?
Yeah, and to help clubs out. If you were brought into tomorrow and all your kit was nicked, and you have to wait for an insurance claim, you're going to get the money, but we could help in short term, then we should do that.
We spoke right at the very beginning when we were just having an informal chat about what a difficult position it can be, and you're there to be shot at almost. Do you feel you've been given a fair crack of the whip by the clubs?
I do. I think the clubs have been very fair. Do we get everything right all the time? I'm sure we don't. It'd be great if we did, but I think we try hard, and I'm always happy to explain what we've done. And that's all you can do, really.
Yeah. Is there anything that you'd like to change? You know, is there anything in the pipeline that you think may have changed? Anything dramatic at all?
Nothing dramatic, I can tell you.
Except the Super League thing.
Yeah. We're currently redesigning the website to give it a fresh new look. We've had the same design for about 5 years now. We think it's time for a bit of a refresh. So Alan, by the start of the season, that'll be up and running, and you'll see a redesigned website. Move the server, because as you know, it went down quite a number of times last year, so we moved to a new supplier for that. So that's been quite busy this winter. We'd like to introduce electronic scoring to our second team, so people who play second team just for saying like to look at the results of those who play first team. So there's plenty we can still do, but we're not about to stand still.
I know you've no allegiance to one particular club other than Esher, of course, out of the Bradford League. But whilst you sat at Clicking Cricket Club, have you got any thoughts about Fleck?
Well, if you could start the season like you finish the season, you'd win the league, wouldn't you?
Yes, we would.
And I think you've a good chance with that. We just need to get off to a start. I'd be delighted to see the refurbishment here. You continue to invest in your facilities here, as do many clubs, and that's good to see.
Well, thanks for your time. I appreciate that. Thank you.